Hey everyone, let's listen to this first. Okay, so you know where the tune is from. We're going to just build this sound. Also, I'm going to show you how this forms a base of a few different kind of reed sounds, whether it's a saxophone, and it can even go to the range of a flute. It's not necessary to say this is exactly physical modeling, but Zebra is really great for very cinematic leads that you can create, and we're just gonna do that. Okay, so let me show you one more thing before I get started. This sound, this is the same patch, right? And there are a few simple tweaks you could do to get very different sounds. So, for example, it is the same patch. I haven't changed anything, right? Okay, now here's another variation of it. There you go. Okay, yet another variation, right? Sorry, that was really bad. Anyway, so let's get started on this. Okay, close this out. Let's start with a brand new patch. What I want to do first is to create the oscillator waveset. Let's expand this fully to do this. So this is the waveform that I'm going to target to land on. Okay, and first edit this into a triangular wave. Just clicking on it just removes it. Okay, and this one make it into a sine wave, and it's going to just be something like this. Even triangular waves work. Maybe we'll do a little bit of experiment in the end with starting with the new patch and try it with a triangular wave and use the same techniques. You'll see that this technique can work on a whole suite of simple waveforms to create some of those reed-like instruments. Okay. So once we have done this, let's quit this. Let's set the envelope. Okay. So I'm going to go with a slight attack and a small release. That's all I need. And I need to morph this based on the envelope. Okay. So I'm going to set it to, so that's my wave that is playing. Okay. And that's kind of where I'm going to just play with it and see where I want to land first. Okay. So around there is good. Okay, and then I want to have it modulated to the envelope. So when I press the key, I want it to kind of do that. Okay, so let's see. Okay, the real effect of it you'll see once you add the oscillator effects, and this is the heart of it, the technique. Okay, I'm going to select sync, okay, effect, and I want it to set to a very small amount. The reason is that sync just changes its shape so quickly. See that the moment I hit 1, it's so harsh, and I want a value somewhere very close to 0. So what I'm going to do is I kind of know my numbers, so I'm going to dial in a 0.06 right there. You see the value right here is 0.06. That's all I need. Okay, and if I really want to bring down the harshness a little bit, I could use ToneWorks and set it to smoothness. That's pretty good, right? And that's what I want with the oscillator. And these are all monophonic sounds. So I'll set it to a legato, go to pitches, set a very small amount of glide, set it to time, right? And I want to add a vibrato, right? But I really don't want to use a vibrato control here. The reason is that I'm going to add the hiss sound, the breath sound to the instrument, and I want the breath sound and the vibrato to be in sync. And there's no way I can sync that rate to the breath sound. So I will basically use a modulation with something called a mod math. Okay, where is mod math? Is it somewhere here? Ah, there you go. Okay, very hard to read these things. Okay, now if I close this, I'll see mod math appear here. I want the mod math to be a product, right? I'll multiply, right, these two. So it is going to be a product of an LFO, right? There's the LFO. Set it to 1/8 or something here. Okay, not much of amplitude. And I want it to be for the pressure, meaning my aftertouch. Okay, and go back to pitches. If I press too much, it just goes there. So you see that, right? So I have my vibrato already set using a modulation. Okay, now I can use the exact same modulation for the breath sound. Having set that up, now we need to now start molding the sound. It's going to be based off of a single oscillator sound. Okay, and we're going to create different variations of it and then mix them all together using a mixer within Zebra. So first thing, I would add a filter, and this is going to be a phaser, a 6-pass. Sorry, what is it called? A 4-pole phaser. I mispronounce these things all the time. Okay, so let's go set the phaser, and you have to play around to see what sound you need. Okay. Around there is good, and we've got to give a little bit of resonance too. Okay, that's not bad. Okay, what would also help our ears and the ease of listening to this tutorial would be to create some external effects. Okay, sorry, the global effects. And what I want to do first is obviously reverberation, right? It's going to be a very cinematic sound. Okay, this is not actual physical modeling at all. It is an approximation or an abstraction of that original sound, which was actually played on a real instrument. So yeah, let's wash it in reverb, right? And also give it some diffusion using a mod effects. And with mod effects, remember to set from analog to digital if you don't want that constant noise seeping into your mixes, or when it's idle, it's still sending you that noise, the low white noise. Set it somewhere low speed. Okay, that's good. Let's start looking at what else we could do, right? Here, next thing I want to do is take the same oscillator sound and bring out the little harsh parts of it and send it through like a high pass filter. Okay, set a filter, set the input from lane 1, so this is coming this route, and set the filter to like an old drive. I think an old drive of a 6 dB high pass. That's good. Okay, to know what that sounds like, mute the first channel, right? And okay, you need to put some resonance to really understand what that sound is like. Okay. Yeah, that's kind of the sound I really want. Okay, now if you play them together, okay. Next thing, what we need to do is, this depth is too much. Okay, that's good. What I want to do is, so this, what I notice is this is a little too harsh, the sound. And this is pure by experimentation that I thought this would work, okay? I used a Modal module for this, okay? What in the module, you can actually tame those harshness and kind of add some warmth into it. That's what I saw, what the Modal did it, okay? To do that, what you need to do is find a profile that is kind of more harmonic, right? Which is more musical, not the bells and stuff. So use a glass bowl, right? And then bring the decay down. And that's pretty much all I did. Let's A/B this. So you got that warmth in there, okay? And the next part is to essentially send this to a comb filter. Now it gets really interesting, right? So take it from lane 2. Okay, let's mute these two and let's see what happens in comb. Okay, comb, nothing happens until you give it some feedback. Okay, now Zebra3's comb has a new reverb module and I found a use for it. Set it to reverb module, okay, and it immediately takes like a metallic nature, right? Let me do this. The volume level is really low here, so I'm going to just start a util here and boost it a little bit. You hear that metallic sound coming in, and that's what I want. I want the reed, the harshness of the reed sound also included in this. Okay. So I have to play around with these things just to get that sound in. You can experiment with it and then find out what exactly kind of works for you, okay? So once this is done, our main sound sources are all done. I'm still going to mute them, but what I'll do is create a 4-in-1 mixer, which immediately creates a mix from each channel, okay? So now you have this here. Now I can mute these, dial all these to taste. It's probably good to maybe create a util here, right? And kind of increase the gain a little bit. May not want to do this too much, but okay. So it sounds a little bit mechanical, and I'll tell you the reason why, because we are really not modulating the pitch at all. For anyway, I did some reading on how the reed instrument, the pitch variations happen, and looks like notes always start slightly above the intended note and then land on the real note. So we want to do the same pitch bend techniques we were pretty much talking in every other every other video. Okay, so let me just get my favorite thing in here, and you see what I want to do is take the oscillator and set the tune to that MSEG. I like to do this here. So MSEG 1, right? And raise the, sorry, not here. Right, very little. If I exaggerate it, you'll know exactly what I'm doing. So just a tiny bit goes a long way, okay? Not only that, once you release your, not release, once you stop playing, the reed kind of also goes up in pitch very slightly, and that you can simulate like so. Okay, so I'm going to create another here and then make this the end of the loop. Okay, and then raise this a tiny bit. So what I also need to do is say immediate, which means that as soon as the note is released, it jumps to the release point. Okay, it doesn't go hang out in this area. So if I raise this, you'll see what I'm doing. Okay, so it is there, I promise you. And if you want, you can go a little. Okay, I think it is there. Okay, and also you could set a very mild detune to this using another LFO. Okay, so I can use an LFO for detune and use the random thing, go to seconds, right? Go to maybe 0.1 seconds. So I'm going to just set it to something like that, and oh, the amplitude needs to really come down. So there's a little bit of pitch drift happening there. See that? And that's good. And they all should be very, very subtle. It should not be like in your face. Okay, so now let's dial in our mixer here. So this is where you could tune your instrument, not really tune, but kind of set the timbre of the instrument the way you like it. Okay, and I think what will also help is to have a filter in the global filter section and set it to a phaser. Okay, and a 4-pole phaser should be fine, right? And then okay, let's see, maybe we'll set it to not a phaser, maybe an AP. Okay, let's see what happens here. Yeah, a phaser really dials into it. We don't really want that, and AP would be great. And AP, you will notice changes only if you increase the resonance, otherwise you will not hear any change. Okay, a very, very subtle change only. So increase the resonance, which okay, next thing I want to do is to add a little bit of nicer resonance to it. Okay, so I'll add an EQ module here, and if you notice previous ones, acoustic instruments can really benefit from something called the resonator. Okay, I'm going to take it from 1, okay, and this, let me just mute it, and then let's hear what it sounds like. Immediately hear that effect, right? So you don't really need a lot, so I'm going to just dial it down. Now you mix it with the other sound from the mixer. What I'm doing is very random. It's very much an experimentation and exploration. And that's how I usually do it. I don't really have an exact science on what should be there. And unless it's really something very specific, I don't really go and do it. I just go pull this and pull that, just sweep it around and see what works. And, listen to it. And you'll know when you get it. Okay. So there's EQ coming through and then our mixed values coming here. What I end up making here might not sound like a Duduk. I warn you that, because it requires some tweaking, okay? At this point, you can go back to the oscillator, right? And kind of tweak these things to see whether you're getting the right sound. Okay, sorry. Okay, I'm going to skip it because the patch will be posted for you to download and experiment with, and then you can really look at that, Duduk sound and play with it. The last step remaining here is to add the noise to simulate the breath sound, okay? And let's set the noise. We'll bring it down, or it'll break your speakers. Oh. Sorry, it's still dead because it was coming through here. Very, very harsh. Anyway, so let's set it to, let's see, what numbers should we set? Oh my God. Somewhere around is fine. I'll test it from this lane first, okay? And if you really look at it, that doesn't really sound like a breath sound, right? What I want is something like a sound where you would blow into a pipe or something like that, right? And for that, comb filter is amazing. You can set it to dissonant, right? You can immediately hear the difference, okay? And then give it kind of a little bit of feedback. Okay, let me just turn this off. Oh, it's too low. Okay. And I think it also should be using a different envelope, which also means that I really don't want any of the noise coming into this mixer. I'll turn it all the way down, okay? So go in here, set envelope 2, right? And usually when you play a reed sound, the breath sound would come in a tiny bit faster, and it would also linger a tiny bit later. So maybe something like that. Now you can release this. Even bring down the noise here. There you go. And release also slightly more. Okay, that's good. I really want the vibrato to match here, right? So we have the mod math that we used, right? You can use that to modulate your volume. So bring down the volume a little bit. When I'm pressing the keys hard, the vibrato comes into picture. So and now all we have to do is to start tweaking the sound and see what all can you do with this patch. And this is pretty much how you would build this patch. Okay, there is nothing more to do. I can do a delay here just for fun. Give it a little bit of feedback, right, and set it to 1/4 dot, and then set this to 50, and you get a nice ping pong. Okay, so maybe the ratio. Okay, I maybe slow down a little bit because the tempo is somewhere around what I cannot see. Not too much. Yeah, it's somewhere there. Okay. Now let's go back to our oscillator, and this is where you can make a lot of different kind of sound. First, you can play with the envelope. Okay, so move them into different positions, and you'll see the sound kind of changes. It kind of becomes like a pan flute right there. Okay, I'm going to reset that. So play it with that. The next place to play with would be with the sync. Okay, so let me show you something. I need to use some very very fractional changes here. So I'm going to loop to this area where I have a single, I think maybe 2 MIDI notes there that will play while I tweak this, because I need a shift key and the mouse to make this change. I don't have a third hand to play that note. Let's see how the sound changes here. It has gone through so many different timbres, if you notice, right? And we even landed on something like a flute. Oh. That's a problem right there. It's too much. Okay. So you could program your mod mapper to kind of switch between different areas. I will show you how to do that. Okay, let's say you have your basic sound. Go back to your oscillator. I hope I'm not losing many of you right here, but I'm gonna set it back to the 0.6 it was, right? Okay. And I will automate this with a mod mapper. Okay, so let's get the mod mapper here, reset it, remove soft snap, and also I would want, let's say, 4 different kind of sounds in here. There are 4 steps here. Okay, let's open up the mapper, and I'm going to make it a map quantize, which will ask me what modulator do you want to use to go through it. If I use an LFO, see what happens, right? It's basically just oscillating through the mapper back and forth. I'm going to use a controller instead. I'll use a mod wheel, right? And based on the mod wheel, I'm going to move my mod wheel, and you'll see how it changes, right? it changes its position. So it has 4 positions now. So I can assign different positions, different values. Okay, so at this point, let me go back to the oscillator and add the mapper value, right? And you don't need a lot. I think it's until maybe let's do until 9. Okay, so go back to the mapper. Okay, the first mapper position, I want to play that sound. Okay, but the second mapper, I want to have a slightly different sound. So open it big and let's play this. Go to the second mapper. I kind of have saxophone vibes right there. Okay, and let's go one step and see if we can find another sound in there. Okay, and here I want to really find that flute sound. Yeah, there you go. So I found that. Now for the last one, I'm going to just dial it up really big for a much more harsher sound, okay? Yeah, I'm playing some of the low notes. So you can tweak this, have more kinds, more steps here, and find different timbres here. And the same instrument you can play differently, right? So you can play. There we go. And that's about today's lesson. The patch is available on Patreon as a free post, no login required. You can download it from right there. Hope it was helpful. I really enjoyed making this patch. It's very playable. It really sounds great. I also had a nice pad that was made here. If you want to take a look at that, I can also post that. Please let me know in the comments. Okay. Thank you.